Hey there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Let me first give you guys a quick little update on our family. We traveled last week to go see my oldest graduate from basic training, and let me tell you, I had a hard time letting go of him in this picture because that was the first time I got to see him after 10 weeks. So as you can imagine, we were loving every second of it. We got him for 2 days and had to check him in the evening, but it was worth it, and he is happy doing what he's doing. So we are too. So now onto the card. I actually made this for the Color Throwdown Challenge number 506 or 506, and that uses the colors aqua, peach, light gray, and white. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to use some alcohol inks on some Tailored Expressions heavyweight vellum. You can hear my dog clinking in the background here. That heavyweight vellum is really nice. Now, I don't have anything to compare it to because I've never owned any heavyweight vellum, but I really like this stuff. And the alcohol inks seem to move on these pretty well. Now, I'm still very, very new to alcohol inks. I have their, what are my colors? I have Peach Bellini, Pool, and Silver, and I put way too much silver on there. Like I said, really don't know what I'm doing. That silver has bits of mica in it, so it has to be, you have to shake it up to make sure that you get all those bits moved around. And it's pretty thick compared to the other alcohol inks, like that Pool and Peach Bellini, but they're beautiful. And so I'm trying to get them to move around a little bit, and the silver doesn't react the same, in my opinion, as the Pool and the Peach Bellini. Because, once I moved that around with some air, it just kind of took over, which makes sense. It has mica in it. So what I used to move the color around is actually it's a tiny little air compressor. I got it for Christmas so many moons ago for my Copics, and so it's like the pneumatic 120 vac 60 hertz air compressor, and I also have the Copic air adapter that goes with it, so I'm just basically blowing air. I will try and link down below to the air compressor that I have in case you're curious, but I love using it for airbrushing with my Copics as well. And so I'm just kind of messing around with that background, just trying to keep playing. I don't want it to completely cover the piece. I just want to have a nice, just centered background. And so I'm going to keep pushing those colors and seeing what I get. And then I'll eventually try and dry it with the air compressor as best as I can. And the funny thing I've noticed about these alcohol inks, probably especially that silver because it's a little thicker, is that even though I dry it with the air compressor and I set it off to the side to dry, you gotta let it dry even a little bit more because it just stayed wet. And I mean, it eventually dried and it was fine, but you really don't want to mess with it too soon. I am going to use the Tailored Expressions set called Lookin' Sharp. It's the Lookin' Sharp stamp and die set, and I snipped those apart using some little wire snips, and I will try and link those down below as well. But I'm going to stamp these onto Express It paper that is specifically designed for Copics. I love this paper. Someone had asked about it once before, and I was introduced to it a long time ago when I first started working with Copics at one of the Copic certifications, and I just love the paper. I feel like it glides across there and it blends so pretty, and I don't know, to me it just feels like a smoother paper. I know lots of people love Nina, and Nina's great, but this is my favorite. So I'm using, and I put the colors up on the screen for you, I'm using BG23 and BG57 for my cactus. I thought that went well with the aqua color, maybe a little darker than what they actually intended, and what's kind of funny is I never would have grabbed these for cactus, but I really ended up liking how that turned out. And then I grabbed another combo for the peach. I don't think I would have normally looked to E93 since it's a neutral color, or it's in the neutral family, but it ended up working really beautifully with YR02. So I used the E93 for my base and the YR02 for my shadow color. And then I just kind of blended those out back and forth, as you can see. Very simple coloring, just adding shadow like my light source is coming from the right side like I always do. And then for my grays, I used C1 and C3. Very, very simple. For some shine, I pulled out my Nuvo Glitter Gloss pen, and I'm just putting that over the flowers in the pots, and then I'll turn on my phone so you can kind of see that sparkle. Kind of fun, eh? So the next thing to do would be to line up the dies that come in the set. There are 2. And I will use my micro pour tape to line those over the top. And just kind of tack that down. And I am going to use my Sizzix Sidekick to cut these out. This is not new for me. You know I love this machine. It is my workhorse. I call it that all the time because if I have a small die or a small set, it is going through that thing. And it sits right on the side, and I don't have to worry about it taking up too much space, because I don't have a lot of space in here, which is why I grab this all the time. So if you have a small space, get you one of them. And now I'm just going to take a piece of Simon Says Stamp Fog cardstock, and I am using my Score Buddy to score that at 4 1/4 inches. So it'll be a top folding A2 size card measuring 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And it's off screen. I'm so sorry about that. So what I'm trying to do, because with rubber stamps, it is, obviously you can't see through them, so it's hard to see where you're stamping. So I'm just using a little piece of vellum that I have, and I'm stamping that on top to see where I want it, and then I can position my paper accordingly. And so then I'm using Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink to stamp out the sentiment onto that white cardstock piece, and I am going to eventually tack that down. So I'm just kind of seeing where I want the placement of my images, and once I have that figured out, I will grab some Tombow adhesive, and then I'm going to just put that tape runner all over the back, and then I will stick it down as evenly as I can on top of that vellum. That'll end up being what I use to put my glue over the back, because with vellum you will see your adhesive, whatever you use on the back. So I'll snip off the rest of that, and then I'm going to put some foam tape all over the back of my images. And once I have those kind of where I want them, I'll peel that off and I'll put those down. These images are just so darn cute. And I am happy that I, found this color challenge to kind of challenge me with different colors, because I never would have thought to use those particular colors for the cactus, but I think they worked out really well. And now they're all tacked down, they're ready to go, and then I will grab my craft tacky glue, and I am going to stick that tacky glue all over those parts that you can see through. You can sort of see at least the back of the cactus, and you can see that little banner, and that's what I'm going to use to tack it down. And the edges will be up, but it's okay. It stays where it's supposed to be. And that's going to end up finishing off this card. So if you liked it, hit the like button, and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And as always, I appreciate you guys stopping by.